So here we are, China, immediately again back in the spotlight, devaluing its currency. I just talked about their 2% drop yesterday. Chinese devaluation extends to third day. Yuan hits 4-year low. Japan escalates currency race to the bottom rhetoric. Again, Lindsey Williams said it's going to be a currency war and a trade war. And watch China. China's the big one. The one-off adjustment, supposedly, has now reached its third day as the People's Bank of China has now devalued the yuan fix by 4.65%, which is back to July 2011 lows. And the People's Bank of China seeks to reassure, and here's some headlines they're talking about from them. China PBOC says yuan remains strong currency in long term. PBOC says there is demand for devaluation of yuan versus US dollar. PBOC change of yuan mechanism related to July credit. PBOC says yuan change is beneficial to long-term stability. PBOC says the yuan exchange rate adjustment almost completed. Yuan rate adjustment positive to confidence in yuan. People's Bank of China says no basis for yuan's constant devaluation. In other words, we're going to stop. Trust us, we'll stop. Oh, but then, wait a minute. Oh, Japan, you're going to do it too? Oh, now you some of the other countries? Oh, well, we didn't anticipate keep dropping it, but I guess we're going to have to now. Kind of like our Federal Reserve. September is looking like it's right at that time to raise those rates finally. As long as economic conditions appear to allow us to do that. And right now they look like that, so it's looking like we'll be ready to raise rates here soon. And then what's going to happen? What had happened was, see, we had a meeting of the 12 Federal Reserve banks, and we came to the conclusion that we thought it was ready to raise, we were ready to raise rates, but now it's not time because the economy actually just took a little bit of a downturn that was, quote unquote, mainstream media, repeat after me, economic conditions unexpectedly dropped, and the Federal Reserve will no longer be on par with raising rates unexpectedly. Love that word. Mainstream media, prostitutes, love to use that word, and just pure nonsense. Unexpectedly. Nothing's going to happen unexpectedly when your country is the most indebted nation on the face of the earth, and you doubled this debt in a mere 6 years or so, from 9 trillion to 18 trillion, roughly 6-7 years is all it took. Unexpectedly, dollar devaluation. Gold and silver explode. Unexpectedly. Oh, it's expected. Just not quite yet. So even before, this is courtesy of Zero Hedge. Gots to love Zero Hedge. Even before this evening's date with debasement history, Japan felt the need to step up the currency war rhetoric. Following disappointing machine orders data, the advisor Hamada warned that, quote, Japan can offset yuan devaluation by monetary easing. Let's print more money. I wonder if the U.S. will do that instead of raising rates in September. We too will just print more money. Who's out there buying our bonds? Is China still stepping up? Number one buyer, Japan second. You saw what the Federal Reserve did a while back. $80 billion per month. Buying our own debt, essentially. And they probably bought some ample debt to stem the tide a little bit And now the tide's coming back, so to speak, here shortly. And we may have to find a reason to print some more with our friends Japan. Japan can offset yuan devaluation by monetary easing. End quote. And so the race to the bottom escalates. China has its own problems, as Bank of America's ML's leading economic indicator shows, quote, the foundation for a growth recovery is not solid, facing more downward pressure. And while confusion reigns over why the People's Bank of China would intervene at the close to strengthen the yuan last night, the reality is the commitment isn't to a devaluation for China's exports, but undoubtedly its actions are directly toward trying to keep the wholesale finance interfaces somewhat orderly. Finally, China's devaluation couldn't come at a worse time for Argentina. About a quarter of the country's $33.7 billion of foreign reserves are now denominated in the Chinese currency, which suffered its biggest loss since 1994 on Tuesday. Having devalued the onshore yuan fix by 3.5% in the last 2 days, China did it again, shifting the yuan to 4-year lows. And China's stocks, of course, have opened lower. Some more liquidity needed. People's Bank of China to inject 40 billion yuan with 7-day reverse repos. And sure enough, not to be outdone, Japan threatens to re-escalate the currency war. Abe advisor Hamada says China's FX move will tend to boost yen. Hamada, Japan can't offset yuan devaluation by monetary easing. Hamada, Bank of Japan may ease quantitative easing, money printing, if China move hits external demand too much. Oh, it's going to hit too much, trust me. But China has its own problems. As Bank of America ML notes, China LEAP or LEAP, leading economic activity pulse, fell to minus 3.9% year over year in July from minus 2.6 in June, as 5 of the 7 LEAP components weakened. On the demand side, housing starts further declined to 16.4% year over year in July after dropping 14.3% in June. We think destocking could be ongoing in tier 3 and 4 cities, and the housing market recovery has yet to drive acceleration in housing starts. Auto sales growth also slumped to minus 7.1% year over year from minus 2.3%, likely due to weakening consumer demand for some big ticket items amid stock market turmoil, while staple goods sales remained resilient. Of course. What else we got? This article is quite long, but I don't need to go any further at this point. So, turn on the rear view defogger, little AC action. Can't see out my back window, but that's okay, because ain't no way I'm gonna hit anything right here. Now, I want you to think about something. You're a Chinese citizen, or maybe an Argentine citizen. Don't cry for me, Argentina. And I'm going to refer you to somebody I've mentioned before. Forget what his real name is. He goes by the little nickname online, Fairfal, F-E-R space F-A-L. If you type into Google that name, Fairfile space Argentina. His blog is guaranteed to come up. And I found his blog many years ago when it didn't have a whole lot of writing on it. Now he's got a ton of stuff on there. And I was absolutely fascinated by what he described happened in Argentina in 2001, 2002, when literally overnight their currency was devalued so bad that it was like almost or around 1-to-1 with our dollar, something like that, and literally overnight went to 3-to-1. Huge devaluation. Imagine that. Everything that cost you $1 now costs you $3. And there's a lot of people that said, we had a sneaky suspicion this was going to happen. So rather than have the Argentine peso, we've diversified and we put US dollars in our banks, which we could do in like separate accounts. And yes, US dollars in these separate accounts. And you know what the government did? Changed the law, created a law, whatever. You can't have US dollars, you must have pesos. But we will give you, we're not just going to steal them from you, we will give you the money in pesos. Oh, well, 3-to-1, fine. Oh, no. No, we're not giving you back what it's worth 3-to-1, 3 pesos to $1. We're going to take all your dollars and give you the exact amount of pesos. And if you had 10,000 US dollars in your account and you're expecting 30,000 pesos back because of this devaluation, I'm sorry to inform you, you're only getting 10,000 pesos back in exchange for your 10,000 Argentine dollars you had, US dollars you had. That's how they handled that. And he said, yes, gold and silver, especially their jewelry, because a lot of people weren't running around with coinage of gold and silver. They did have jewelry. And there was absolutely a market amongst the people to acquire any gold or silver, however they could get it, which in their case, most of the time, was jewelry. And little black markets would just pop up, like at the end of a street or somewhere, and it would just be known for that area. This is like the marketplace, this underground marketplace that we all go to buy, sell, trade, barter, whatever you need. And I mean, he had a long story. He said, look, I'm gonna tell you something. What the heck is that squeaking back here? And he says, I didn't fare too bad myself during this crisis because I maintained a job the whole time. So, in other words, hey, it didn't affect me. I was fine. Which good for him, right? I mean, we all want to be that guy. But he said he was sitting like up in a 2-story or so, maybe higher, I don't know, building where he worked. I want to say like downtown, wherever, whatever city he was in, when the rioting broke out and the people were furious at what the government had done. And it may have been right when they announced, oh, your US dollars you thought you saved in our banks, you left them in our banks, correct? Yep. Thanks. Because now if you don't hold those US dollars at your house, you don't own those US dollars. Just like gold, just like any damn thing, if it is not in your possession, you don't own it. And the government just proved that, well, 2001 proved it, that even with US dollars in another account that you do technically own, you don't own. And they took it all, got their 3-to-1 conversion out of it, of course, and gave you the crap peso. Here you go. And once again, they're back in bad news here recently, Argentina. But he said, while I was up, looking out of his office window or whatever he was doing, eating a hamburger for lunch, he can see these people roving in groups all up and down the streets, flipping cars, I mean the whole 9 yards, rioting like you would believe the term of rioting. Very upset people, damaging stuff, flipping cars. I don't remember if he said they were setting them on fire or anything, but... And he said, here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. Some of the people down there involved in this, doing this, were people in business suits. Highly educated people, good paying jobs, well, moments before good paying jobs, maybe they just lost them, and were out there with the quote-unquote hooligans, troublemakers, doing the same thing they were doing. So the point was, even though these were highly educated, normal, non-violent, non-crazies people, they snapped. And where did I hear that before? Gerald, trench forecaster extraordinaire, Salente. When people have nothing else left to lose, they lose it. That is precisely what happened in Argentina. So, in Argentina, and in China specifically, let's go there for a minute. The huge, enormous amount of people, what is it, 1.2 billion or something crazy in China? Numbers of people? Absurdly high numbers of individuals living there. Let's say you're a citizen of China. On Tuesday, dropped the yuan, devalued it. Wednesday again. Next thing you know, it's down 4+%. You're looking at yourself saying, whatever I had, whether it's life savings, retirement, whatever I had, you just took 4% away from me? Literally overnight? I don't want this to get any worse. I don't want this to get, and the people, and as I just read, they said this is not going to be a continuing trend. We don't foresee us just keep going down and down. It's not, well, of course you're going to say that. What are you going to tell your citizens? We're going to keep going. It's going to be a race to the bottom. Your retirement and your money is going to be getting worth less and less and less and less? No, but it's not going to take long. And as a matter of fact, I would venture and say that immediately now, right now, today, there's a whole lot of Chinese citizens saying, you know what? If I had gold or silver, the price of that just went up by 4%, as opposed to me losing 4%. In today's dollars, minus 4%, gold is back where it was in my country 2 days ago. It's worth the same. But my dollars in Chinese yuan are worth 4% less. Had I bought gold or silver, they would be worth more. Huh. You think that might happen just a tiny bit? And even if it's just a tiny bit of, oh, I don't know, 1.2 billion people? A little trend might start happening? And it's called the race to get precious metals during a time when the stock supply across the world is extremely low and there's delays, and the U.S. Mint and even the Canadian Mint issued these little decrees where rationing the sale, the amount that our primary dealers can have. Why? I could have swore the law stated that the U.S. Mint must at all times have enough precious metals in, namely the eagles and whatnot, to meet public demand. And over the last tiny little few years, this has got to be at least like the 5th time the U.S. Mint has ran out. How are you running out of something? Can you imagine if you're a restaurant? You'd be fired as a manager. Dude, can't you tell this demand for our product, our food? Aren't there little telltale signs when certain things happen? Oh, it's one of those, gonna be one of those weeks. Get the food order done now. Hurry up, get extra for this, Tuesday's delivery. Oh yeah, of course, but we don't really want to feed all these people, because if we feed them, they understand. In other words, if we give them the gold and silver, the numbers we're going to have to show that we've sold are going to be record-breaking, and we don't want our citizens and even the world to understand that there is a massive demand for precious metals that the media is completely downplaying, because every time you turn it on right now, they are bashing gold and silver. We need the dollar to be in the spotlight, not gold and silver. So we're going to not even count July, last day of July, in our numbers of sales, because had we done that, a record would have been broken. Silver Eagle sales. So we'll just count up till Thursday and then just forget Friday ever happened. Maybe we'll roll that into August or something. So now the United States Treasury is complicit in this attack on precious metals. Yet it is a seller of these prestigious gold and silver coins, the Eagles. One of the most wanted coin of all, right? Gold and silver version of it. So Argentina is going to have some problem. Puerto Rico, we defaulted on our debt. Of course, they're a subsidiary, if you will, of the United States. But you now have Argentina in trouble because what did they just say? They had a bunch of their reserve currency in the Chinese yuan. And they're probably like, we used to have it in the dollar, but we saw what happened with that. We got screwed on that one. 3-1 happened. So let's go to something that we felt was more stable and has been stable for a while, the Chinese currency. And we didn't get a little knock on the door last night or the day before saying, hey, we understand you got our currency in reserve, but it's about to get knocked 4+% devalued. That's not going to be a pleasant surprise when you wake up. As a country saying that's what our reserves are in, you're going to come to the conclusion sooner or later as a country, unless you are a complete moron, that, damn it, we should have been invested in gold and silver. That's the way it used to have been. Why did we get off of that? Well, all the advisors advised the government to get off of it. Well, who are the advisors and who's advising the advisors? The club. The club is the advisors, or advising the advisors to advise the government. Sell your gold, their old relic. So you can't go to the US dollar, that's not safe. Can't go to the Chinese yuan, it's not safe. Where do you think this is going to lead to? The only safe investment, with 6,000 plus years of being proven, the one and only safe investment, or at least protection of your wealth, gold and silver. And I gotta tell you, just based off of this, the party hasn't even started. The party the invitations to the gold and silver party hasn't even been sent out. They haven't even been sent out. And look at the demand for gold and silver from those of us awake. What we're causing on the system. Can you imagine when just a teeny, weeny, tiny amount more people across the planet start figuring it out too and decide, even small amounts, well, I don't have money, I'm a poor person, or whatever you want to consider, but I do see I need to buy some. So where someone else may say, I want 800, 1,000, 2,000 ounces, this person may say, you know what, I could barely afford 200 ounces and that's it. But it's better than nothing, because I can't let this continue to go. My money's going down as it sits here in this freaking bank account. What point is that? I might as well put it into an asset, a real asset. Exactly. And all you people out there in these other countries that tried to do what Argentina did, well, I've got my country's currency in my bank account, but I also have a separate bank account with some other, Chinese currency or an American dollar. And they're too going to find out what Argentina found out. The government can and will take your money because it is not in your possession. And they will change the law or create a new law that says we can take it and convert it to the 3-to-1 of our currency, use it for our government purposes, and only give you what our currency is worth in those dollars. So, thanks for the 10,000 US dollars out of your account, Mr. and Mrs. Whatever, but you're only getting 10,000 pesos back instead of 30,000, which you're really owed. Have a nice day. Thanks. And you know what the picture showed on that I watched a documentary about it too, by the way, in Argentina. I can't remember the name of it, but it was very, very good too. How about you guys go pick up a bunch of pots and pans, walk up and down the streets and bang them and chant like, we don't like the government and we want you to resign. How did that work out for you guys? Just curious. Now, ultimately, the president at the time finally said, okay, I'm going to leave. Someone else took over, the female president, and nothing has changed. So, get out your pots and pans and do it again. Let's see how that works out for you. There's only one thing that works, and history shows us what that is going to be. I don't even have to say, this is what I recommend you do. You should, such as you should start a revolution, or I don't even have to say it. All I have to tell you to do is go look at what history shows happens that gives the results that are needed. And that's a violent revolution. So I don't even have to say where this is going to go, or you should think about. I don't have to say a word. Because people will be driven to such angry levels about what happens to them by the decisions the government has made, they will automatically do something. If you're sitting there peacefully by yourself, minding your own business, and there's some stuff going around you, and you're going to pretend I got blind. Matter of fact, I'm going to really get some blinders, and I've got them on, and back to my fake smiley life. Okay, we're ready to go. All right, back to normal. And then all of a sudden, you minding your own damn business, I don't want any part of this. I'm fine. I still got my job. You're starting to get pinpricked by these really sharp, pointy needles, and it hurts bad. And they're sticking them deep in you. At what point do you stop just doing this and, smack? Stop that! What the hell's wrong with you? Stop poking me. That's called the Gerald Celente. When people have nothing else left to lose, they lose it. I'm at my breaking point and I'm snapping. And again, if you look at history, what is the snapping? What happens when these people snap? Oh, it's interesting. Everybody, most people, tend to snap around the same time for some certain reasons. It's not like a little tiny group of people are the only ones that snap, because everybody's affected by the same thing that made those people snap. And since we're all people, we all tend to start snapping at the same time because we're furious about something. Pretty obvious when you think about it. That is going to be the result worldwide. And as Lindsay said, they don't want to use Jade Helm against us. Coincidentally, they started it now and plan on ending it right around the time when the party's going to get started here in America, supposedly, and around the world with the economy crashing. Jade Helm will then maybe be extended for a little bit longer, training purposes, of course, or immediately go live, and now we need to use this because there's rioting and crazy crap happening all across America because of whatever just happened. Which is going to infuriate some people because they're going to say, we knew you did this for this reason, which also shows us that you knew in advance that this event that you're telling us just happened and it was unforeseeable and unexpectedly blah. It was very expected and you must have done it, or else you wouldn't have had this little Jade Helm exercise going around ready to deal with this, which will make a lot of people snap. They're going to be really upset about that because that shows the government knew absolutely. Means it was planned. Wrap your head around that. Whatever is about to happen, economically speaking, is absolutely planned. The average person who doesn't want to hear this is conspiracy, this is nonsense, wait till they wrap their head around that one, when they will come to the realization, oh my God, this couldn't have happened by chance. That means they did this to it. They really did do this to us. Let me call my conspiracy friend. Let me get back on Facebook and re-friend him because I've unfriended him back in the day. I'm tired of reading his crap. Oh, he's not even on Facebook anymore. Oh, I wonder where he's at. Oh, he's been preparing for this crap for a long time, and sorry about your luck. He probably doesn't want to talk to you anymore because he didn't have time to deal with bozos and nonsense. And that's exactly what's going to happen too. The sheeple will be awakened in a rapid hurry. Take care.